Life Check Yourself with Sam Shea. Unlock energy, heal burnout, and redesign your life. Ladies, welcome back to another riveting episode of Life Check Yourself. Today's guest is Dr. Sam Shea. He helps adults on the spectrum stop burnout, decrease overwhelm, and increase resilience so they can better adapt and thrive in work, home, and life, which is life. He helps parents of children on the spectrum too, which I'm so excited to talk about that. Avoid burnout, improve their energy, and create a more harmonious connection with their children that are on the spectrum. He is on the spectrum himself. He leverages stand-up comedy, which I love, to advocate for those on the spectrum with his 1-hour comedy show, which I definitely want to check out, Neurospicy. I love that title, Dr. Sam. Neurospicy, love, life, and comedy on the spectrum. That's amazing. I'm so happy that you're here.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here and help. Like you said, I what I do with my comedy work is I advocate for those on the spectrum and normalizing their experience within the normie world. And then clinically, I support adults on the spectrum and parents and spouses and other people who are connected to those on the spectrum. I act as a translator in both directions, both from normie to spectrum and spectrum to normie. And people ask us, most people who talk about being on the spectrum, they always focus on the kids. Like I personally don't work with children on the spectrum.
Yeah.
I'm equipped for it. I help the adults on the spectrum and the parents of children on the spectrum. And also there's people, like myself that has a parent very far on the spectrum. So even though we are kids, always relative to somebody.
Right. That's so interesting. Well, I'm really glad. I wanted to have you on a couple of reasons. One is that I have he's like a nephew to me who's 30, who's on the spectrum, and not super high functioning. But the one thing that I always talk about with his mom, who's like my best friend, is that there are all these services, right, when your kids are young. And then
now there are.
Well, yeah, in the last 20, he's 30, right? But yes, now there are, and there are more. I think also like resources are required to really get, a lot of those things. The thing is where does he go? Like, where do they go once they're 25, 26, 27? Now he's 30, right? And so I just love what you're doing. I think that's so important. And then also I have a lot of clients that come to me through the dating aspect of my business that meet a partner who may be on the spectrum to some extent. And that doesn't mean they can't be a great partner. Right. Right. And so I wanted to have you on here for that translation because I don't want a great match to not happen because someone thinks this person's brain process is different than me. That way it could never work. So I would definitely want to talk about that. And then also I want to talk about, my favorite pastime now is I'm obsessed with every single cast member of Love on the Spectrum. So you have to talk about that also.
Right. Okay. Okay.
And follow them all.
We have how much time, Marnie?
I know. Well, so you watch Love on the Spectrum? Let's just start there just because it's fun and light.
Okay. Well, I'm actually taking this a bit of a turn. I watched half of one episode and shut it off. Because I saw, I appreciated what they were doing, which was trying to bring this window of the dating experience into the larger community. And while I appreciated the level of care and, because you can make anyone look air quotes weird with camera angles, different lighting, music. Sure. And what I detected from the showrunners is that they were absolutely giving the best possible, they were really showing good camera angles, good lighting, really trying to show with fullness of care what it's like to date someone who's really on the spectrum. What I didn't like about it was that it still felt a bit zoo animal-y.
Which all reality shows are, but I get it.
They are, but it's especially painful. And I'm going to own this may be part of my projection and personal history. It's just especially painful to make it appears to be a bit zoo animal-y in this context. Like if there's a bunch of hot normies on some island who are
Right.
whatever, and like and it is zoo animally because it is zoo animally, like that's one thing, but it feels there's a bit it didn't feel completely comfortable to me. Now, obviously, everyone on the show is a consenting adult, and
Right.
I get the intention of it. I'm not fully bought in that the delivery is as is
Pure.
as pure as it could be, even though, again, camera angles, lighting, everything is all good. Like they really
Right.
didn't
We're making,
intentionally try to make it bad, as far as I could tell. So, and I actually mentioned Love on the Spectrum in my show. I also mentioned Big Bang Theory, and
Right.
I also mentioned Star Trek's, and I also mentioned several other shows. And there's an arc of there's an arc of acceptance for a marginalized group, and again, bit of a dark turn, but it has a happy conclusion. And the history of the spectrum, I mean, I have Asperger's syndrome. Now, some people listening to this may be offended by the term, and I cover that within the first 5 minutes of the show, that the term Asperger's has fallen out of favor.
Why?
Because, well, Dr. Asperger's had dubious ties to the Nazis, who used his work
I did not know
to
this.
label for sterilization or worse, quote unquote, undesirable children. And it's hotly debated whether or not Dr. Asperger was complicit. It is hotly debated.
Ooh.
And obviously his daughter says he was trying to save the kids. Other people saying, no, he was just trying to save his own hide, and he was happily giving his work over to the Nazis. It's a big debate. And so the term Asperger's was removed from the DSM criteria. It was removed as an official label diagnostic in the DSM criteria, where it was labeled as such, many decades ago.
Yeah.
Because the term Asperger's, the name is tainted, in air quotes. I disagree. I think Asperger's should come back, because it doesn't matter to me whether or not Dr. Asperger's was complicit, because ironically it was Asperger's syndrome that brought the Nazis down. And I can prove it with 3 names: Oppenheimer, Einstein, and Turing. All 3
right. Exactly.
So
I love you, Dr. Sam.
Thank you.
So listen, so what is the politically correct term now? I mean, is that like is then that a very high functioning person on the spectrum? Educate us.
Well, the term high functioning is offensive within many sectors of the neurodiverse community, because it assumes other people are low functioning. And then you have people like me who I don't like the term autism spectrum disorder, because the term disorder is baked into the diagnostic name automatically.
Okay.
And so, like, no matter what, it's like we're all a disorder, or someone's high functioning or low functioning, the reality is like, I'm very high functioning in certain elements of my brain compared to many other people on the spectrum and many normies. And I'm also highly low function. I'm not highly low functioning. That is not my case. I'm very low functioning. I'm very low functioning in many other areas of how I navigate the world compared to normies and compared to other different people on the spectrum and how they present. So, and I say this on the show explicitly right after I talk about the history of the term Asperger's. I say explicitly there is a robust debate over labels and definitions. Society can't even agree if pineapple belongs on pizza.
Right, exactly.
and I say, like, look, I talk about Asperger's syndrome from my own personal experience and personal research. So please don't lecture me after the show. The irony is not lost on me. Don't Aspie the Aspie, meaning don't lecture, like Asperger, right. People feel like little professors. They can just go. So I want to preempt other people from giving me a lecture. And it's, and then the next joke is like, look, if you disagree with anything I say, I invite you to write a comedy show, and I'll even give you the title. Well, actually.
Right.
And it's all meant, like, the intention.
That is so fun. Well, because my cousin, whose son is Seth, who I talk about all the time, who I love, who is on the spectrum. she jokes about Lewis. Her husband's never been diagnosed, but she's like, oh my gosh, she says he's so Aspergery.
Do you want to know the joke about that? I can't take credit for this one. The person, he wasn't diagnosed, but he has been peer reviewed.
Yes, he's been so peer reviewed. And he actually says, well, actually, all the time.
Yep, that's it. Well, actually.
Oh my God. Okay.
And so
I'm learning so much already.
Well, first off, I can't take credit for that joke. I haven't been diagnosed, but I've been peer reviewed. It's a meme on the internet. I have no idea who said it. All credit to whoever that person is. As a comedian, I meant make sure you don't take credit for other people.
Right. No, I believe in the attribution.
So the reality is that there are some bigger terms that people can't agree on. There is neurodiversity, which is the entire pie. ADD, ADHD, the 4 different levels of autism spectrum disorder, of which Asperger's used to be like the air quotes high functioning, verbally affluent one. Then there's people who've got OCD and people who've got different sensory integration issues. Right. And then you've got, and there's this entire pie called neurodiversity. Neurodistinct is my slice of the pie. Okay. So I self-identify as Asperger's slice of the neurodiverse pie, and people disagree with the term Asperger's, and I am totally comfortable with them disagreeing with it because I am wanting to reclaim it, no different than any other marginalized community trying to reclaim an offensive word. Yes. And I was literally on a call today where I told them the history about, Einstein, Oppenheimer, and Turing, helping take down the Nazis. And her response was, well, that's offensive to people who are low functioning autistic. It's like, how is that offensive? They were according to your definition, they were on the autistic spectrum. Right. Why does it have to be you now? Is this like sibling rivalry or something? Like, right. Like,
and it defeats the purpose of like just being able to understand somebody is different, right? And then being able to, like you said, translate based on where they are. Okay, that makes sense. Let me ask you another question. I've been hearing this a lot lately too, since we're talking about terminology. I've never heard it like this. People say I have autism versus I'm autistic. Like, I have autism. Is that a new thing, or is that just something I'm hearing differently?
Well, first off, it's very autistic to really lean into that kind of grammatical distinction. Okay. So it's very nuanced and like very technical, which is on brand. Yeah. And the reality, it's like saying, it's like telling someone. It's introducing myself as please, I want people to receive this in the spirit in which it's meant, not to compare autism to cancer. That's not what I'm saying. Yes. But it's the difference between saying, I'm a cancer patient versus, hi, my name's Sam and I have cancer. It's a difference in how much you identify, like, are you identifying with the label so fully versus I am living out this experience. I am me that happens to also be having this experience. And I don't actually disagree with that grammatical construction because, look, as a clinician, I have many people come to me saying like my whatever it might be is like my neurodegeneration, my Alzheimer's, my dementia, my this. Yeah. And it's like, they're trying to recalibrate the relationship with this experience that they're having that's influencing the entire way they view their world, and also how people immediately identify them. So it's a way to assert one's relationship with the thing people are identifying you as. It's like, are you identifying me as a mere representation of this cohort, or are you identifying me who happens to also have a connection to this cohort?
Right. Very interesting. Okay. Very super cool. Okay. Next topic. I have a lot of curiosity and interest now that I'm knowing so many parents that, of girls also, more girls than I've noticed in the past, in my life as being a mom to 3 kids, of parenting kids that are on the spectrum that are like in teenagers, but there are similar, you know, there, and I don't know, they you know, and so I want to talk about this thing about like, what's this experience that I'm learning about where like kids are trying to mask so heavily that then they get this certain point and it's just like, is it burnout? Is it they can't do it anymore? And how do parents who may have some neurotypical kids, how do you parent different? Do you parent differently? Are there different rules? Like, what's going on now? Yeah.
Sure. So you brought up actually several topics. So I have an entire section on masking in the show. And the way I describe it is masking. It's like being on the spectrum is like being Harry Potter. That we feel like well-meaning yet misunderstood wizards surrounded by muggles / normies.
Right. Okay.
Many of whom just ignore us, but some actively make our lives difficult. And like Harry Potter, we have to hide in plain sight. That's called masking.
Okay.
Masking is the spell we cast on ourselves to blend in. Aspergius appear typicus, you know, a little one motion.
Yeah.
And, you know, we don't have invisibility cloaks, but most of us have a weighted blanket. So now stepping out of the little routine there, mask. And I go further into examples of masking, but the point of masking is to blend in. Now, the reason why it's exhausting is because we're faking it. It's exhausting.
Right. Yeah. Right. That makes sense to me.
Another way I can describe masking, it's like living in a perpetual job interview that's going poorly.
That's such a good analogy, Dr. Sam. Wow. That's a lot.
It is exhausting. And some Aspies, they hit a breaking point where they just give up, and give up can be they just don't want to, they socially isolate. They get defiant, like I'm asked to do this and now I'm asked to do that. And every time you think it's so easy to ask me to go out and do a thing, and you have no idea how overwhelming and exhausting this thing is. So I'm just going to expend a short burst of acute energy just to get you out of my sight and to get you away from me, to demand this thing that you have no clue and no appreciation of how horrible it feels to actually thrust out into, basically be thrown to the wolves and pretend.
Yeah, I get that. Wow.
The other thing that they can do is just give up and literally slow walk themselves to burnout. And the other thing that they can do is go out and just drop a social grenade in the middle of everything, because it's a giant FU to everyone else that is overwhelming us, and it's just too much. Or they can just collapse inward and just not move and give up that way. And the thing is like, if you ask me, like, what should a parent do?
Yeah, what should a parent do?
A parent should parent the child they have, not the child they want.
Oh, that's okay. That's a mic drop moment.
Yeah. And the reason, if people are listening or watching and they hear some intensity behind my voice, my parents did the exact opposite of what you should do. And I also address that in the show. And I'm not here to alienate or dunk on parents. That's not what I'm trying to do at all. I support parents. I want like who I work with are parents.
Right.
And the reason I'm passionate about working with parents is because I cannot change my past, but I can change other children's future by helping the parents.
So how do you support someone if they're already in that burnout, or they've gotten to the, like, let's say 15, 16, 14, whatever it is, and they're like, I can't anymore. How do you support them to move through that, now that you might say, oh God, I have to start parenting the child I have instead of trying to put them in the normie bucket?
Okay. So the couple things that are available now that never were. Number one, there's massive amounts of resources that are available today that never existed 30 years ago when I desperately needed them. Literally 2 weeks ago, or a week and a half ago, I was the fundraising comic for the Firefly Autism's annual fundraiser here in Colorado. And so I helped, I did my part. I mean, look, the auctioneer did the bulk of the work for sure.
Right.
But my desire, I had to leave my table to go to the green room to cry a couple times, because I was so moved by an entire, like it was in the Denver Center for Performing Arts.
Oh my
To have
gosh.
hundreds of people come together to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars in support of this organization, Firefly Autism, which is one of many organizations just in Colorado who are out there to support children on the spectrum of, of their specific age group that they're serving. There's another organization, the Ball Swans, the Ball Swan organization. They're doing more like like 2 to 6, I think. So they're like the equivalent of Montessori. Right. Firefly Autism is more like Steiner. They're not in terms of age groups, not in terms of teaching style. It's just like
it's just what age group they specialize in. Yeah.
And what I want to do is be that fundraising comic for organizations on the spectrum, whether it's in Colorado or around the country or nationally, whatever. So I invited a dear friend of mine. She's one of my closest friends, whose child literally that day was being assessed for being on the spectrum and came back, yes, she is. She did not know about Firefly Autism until she came to the fundraising banquet.
Oh, to the event.
Next to me.
I love that. Yeah.
And she's like, I didn't know this thing existed. It's like my point. Exactly. So there are resources out there. Guiding Bright Minds is another organization for parents that's based here in Colorado. There's also the Colorado had the first neurodiverse chamber of commerce, which started here in Colorado. And there's another one now in Georgia, and they're hoping to template it across all the states. There's different schools out there like Fusion Academy, which also has about 80 satellite schools around the country, including here in Colorado. So I just want to throw out there that there are resources galore that I am so grateful exist and that I can contribute in the way that I can to help fundraise for them. And this is a not so subtle pitch to any of your listeners. Like, if you have an organization that does big fundraising and you want a spectrum comic, a comic who's on the spectrum, who's also a clinician and knows how to hold a stage and also has his own story, like, I would like to be that person.
Oh, that's so great. I already think of 5 people I'm going to introduce you to. Thank
you. Appreciate that. Yeah. So number 1 is parents get the resources. Number 2, parents should get resourced. Resource. Now, this is one of the biggest mistakes my parents made, is that they ignored their own sleep deprivation, their own stress, their own dysglycemia, and their own physical body pain, which absolutely affected their parenting. And like, if you are hangry, sleep deprived, stressed out, and in chronic pain, do you really think you're going to make the best decisions for your kid, normie or otherwise?
Right. And so a lot of that is caused by the worry when they're trying to put their kids in the box that is not the box they should be in.
It's a part of it. And it's also just, they were both, medical doctors in the 80s who knew nothing at all about nutrition and assume I want to spoil, like, there's a whole thing of like what their professions actually were, that I don't want to spoil the punchline. Yes. And the punchline's worth it.
I'm so excited. It's called a spicy show.
Right. So I would say that my passion for helping parents is that no matter if your child is on the spectrum or not, you are guaranteed to parent better if you engage in self-care as a parent. If you engage in self-care, you will model self-care for your child. You will make better decisions. You will have a happier, more harmonious family automatically. Now, self-care is not antithetical to proper parenting. There's a lot of self-sacrificing parents who over-sacrifice and then either burn out themselves or cultivate resentment of their own towards their children. So so self-care is actually part of the psychological budgeting for being a good parenting.
Yeah.
And now, obviously, I'm going to put some asterisks on this, and I also talk about it in the show, that there is statistically 5% of the population that have aversive personalities, narcissism, psychopathy, sociopathy, that they can take self-care to like mimosa, like something like Peggy Bundy, mimosas and bonbons, and she thinks she's a great parent because she's self-caring.
Right.
And so obviously any concept can be spun into one's own someone's personal instrumental ends, you know. But I'm not talking to that 5%. I'm talking to the 95% of other people who don't have the real pathological expression of aversive personalities. And I talk about aversive personalities in the show because people on the spectrum, like me, we assume people tell the truth, and we don't have a working theory of evil when we walk out of when we come out the chute. You know, we're not programmed with social software, so we're vulnerable to predation by manipulation from these aversive personalities. So what I did is I distilled down the definitions of narcissism, sociopath, and psychopaths, so people can remember them as a quick way for everyone, especially for the people on the spectrum, to help begin their journey to identify who is being dishonest and manipulative towards you. And that happened to me in spades, which is why I dedicated a section of the show to that.
Wow, you cover a lot in an hour. I also watch Survivor. I watch a lot of reality TV, Dr. Sam, but there's a girl on there.
Is this an intervention, Marnie? Do we need a 12-step program now?
No, I'm good. Okay? I also read books and exercise, so it's good. But she comes on the show. She's on the spectrum. She comes on the show and she's like, look, I'm strong. Like my parents like gave me all these belief in so that I went to school and I play lacrosse and all that. She goes, but one thing that I'm bad at, like, I can't tell if people are lying to me.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so and she talks about that. And that's kind of what you're talking about. She's like, that's a flaw to play this game because the whole game is about like deception and all that stuff. So it's really interesting how she's navigated through that.
So we're when I say we, I put an asterisk, like my slice of the distinction. Look, we're not born with social software. So what comes to normies instinctually, we have to assemble algorithmically.
Okay.
And literally, I studied television shows like an anthropologist because of facial close-ups. And I have a joke about Game of Thrones that I studied facial expressions by watching Game of Thrones. Now, obviously, the learning cycle is very quick because when Cersei makes an angry face, someone dies. So easy, super efficient. Right. But in all seriousness, Game of Thrones has some of the best acting on television, and with the incredible close-ups, like that famous British actor who played Tywin Lannister. I can't remember his name. I wish I did. Yeah. Brilliant actor. He's accused of ordering the murder of this other character named the Viper, his sister. The Viper accuses him directly of ordering the murder of his sister in the show. And the actor looks at him. You're looking directly in the camera. It's a full face shot with some of his neck. And the Viper says, "Did you order the murder of my sister? Do you deny it?" And he says, and Tywin Lannister says, "Categorically." And there's a pause. Now, if you're just looking at his face, it's perfect. But his oropharyngeal muscle right here twitches. And it's the one tell. And it's so when you can dial in and really like zoom in and stop and look at the facial expressions and try to assemble an algorithm of dishonesty, like what is going on. And the gentleman who invented microexpressions, Dr. Ekman, I think he must be on the spectrum because he said there's like 437 facial expressions. Now, if you get down to anyone who says the number 437
is definitely on.
Is like, yeah, bro, like welcome to my slice of the pie. Like, the water's warm. Come on, you know. So
that's so good. I love that.
Studying, I studied television shows to understand human dynamic and interactions. Comedy was my escape and also my education growing up. I would watch family comedies like Full House, The Cosby Show. Obviously, we didn't know anything about Bill's
predations back then. We just thought he was So good.
He was literally called America's dad,
Right.
because he was so beloved. And I would watch and try to understand family interaction. Now, I had enough sensibility to know Married with Children was an ironic dystopia
Right.
of a healthy family. So, I mean, I have another joke in the show. It's like, learning family structure from Married with Children is like learning psychology from Beavis and Butthead.
That's funny. You're really funny, Dr. Sam.
Well, thank you. And just to linger on that a little bit, not to linger on how funny I am. Go on.
Right.
It's more that comedy was a way that I could understand human interaction, and also was a vector for truth, because comedy, the funniest things you laugh at, I'm not just pointing at you, but everyone,
humans.
You don't laugh at what's funny, you laugh at what's true.
Yeah, it's true.
And when I'm in a writing class, and I'm in 2 writing classes a year, my instructor, Zoe Rogers, who I've worked with since 2019, she taught me one of the most important lessons of comedy was never write for funny. You always write for truth. You find the funny in the truth, not the truth in the funny. And as someone on the spectrum, my default setting is what's truth, because, and going back to the sensory overwhelm,
right?
You've heard of the term signal to noise ratio, right?
No.
You haven't? Okay, so there's signal to noise, like on a radio, like you turn it to get, like, there's noise, and then finally get the signal. Like, what's the valuable information amidst all the data? And when you're born with social software, as normal people are born with social software, they can filter out all the extraneous information and automatically key in to what is the critical social cues, because they have a signal to noise filter. They can filter out the noise. But for people on the spectrum, there is no noise. It's all signal. And we have to manually, consciously, with great effort, actively filter everything. And that's why it's so exhausting to be in social situations, because we're overwhelmed by everything. Our sense, the apertures of sense perception are dilated way open. Light is more bright. Sound is more loud. Taste is stronger, smell is stronger, touch is stronger. We cannot filter or titrate the sensory input because it's all signal. There's no inbuilt filtration, which is also why there's exhaustion, and also why we have a more mimetic memory, because it's just all of equal significance.
That's amazing.
And that's why there can be this like extra strong memory, like this incredibly detailed memory, because we don't have the filters that normies do.
So you just take it all in.
We take it all in, and it's not, look, people say, oh my God, your memory's amazing. Yeah, it's a superpower, but it comes with a healthy buffet of kryptonite. Like there's downsides to this. This is not an unambiguous positive.
That's amazing. Okay, I want to make sure we wrap up your points about parenting, because we stopped at 2, which was, we said get resources, be resources. Is there anything else for parents that are engaging, navigating through parenting boys and girls, teenagers?
So the top 3 things that I would say to make anyone's family better, whether kids are on the spectrum or parents on the spectrum or not, is to make sure the bookends of the day are strong. Make yourself a sleep-centered family. Everyone's life's better if everyone in the family sleeps better.
Yeah.
Don't do the thing of, stay up as long as you have, this is what my parents said, as long as you get good grades, you can stay up as late as you want. Yeah, I got great grades and I exhausted myself and stunted my growth, and I was just staying up late because I was so stressed out and couldn't sleep and all the rest of it. Their one metric of success as a parent was, did they get good grades?
Right.
It's a measure, not the measure. And then if you have a good morning routine, so what is a good morning routine? Solid breakfast, not glorified desserts like boxed cereals. If you I'm talking like a protein, fat, vegetable based breakfast where everyone is off to a good start. And there's movement and there's exercise and now granted, some people's schedules like that to be at school at 7 a.m. or something crazy. I get it. There's limitations that some people's bus ride is 5 minutes, others 50 minutes. So there's the ideal, then there's the ordeal. And I just want to acknowledge that. But at the end of the day can be controlled more than perhaps some of the mornings, but make yourself a sleep-centered family and have self-care be at the centerpiece for everyone's well-being. And there are ways to also customize people's if you want to get further granular about how to customize their own self-care. This is what I do professionally with neuroharmony model, with specialized health genetics to identify one's ideal diet, their lifestyle, exercise, and that all can be dialed in.
Oh, nice.
If you're looking to work with someone individually. Otherwise, there's a lot of really great information on lifestyle and wellness and nutrition. I have I'm part of one of thousands of functional medicine practitioners. If people like the style in which that I describe things, I have an entire YouTube channel of all sorts of health stuff and my own website and all sorts of ebooks and whatnot people can download. But I would say that the parent the child you have, not the child you want, and also know that the body has rules like sleep. That's a pretty big rule, and everyone's life will be better. And also model self-care for your kid. Self-sacrifice is a virtue in many situations, but is counterproductive because kids at a certain age really don't listen to you. They just watch you. Mm-hmm. And that line is crossed invisibly and you don't know when that happens. So start modeling now.
That's so true. So last thing is I wanted to talk about how do you, when you say like, I'm really good at translating, if someone wants to start to understand more or translate better themselves, in the last few minutes that we have, how does someone get started on that? And what do they need to know so that they can create connection?
Yeah, without sounding too self-referential, watch my show, Neurospicy.
I mean, obviously. And by the way, links to the show, you guys are starving for the show now. Right. We're going to have a link to all of that. We have
massive section on dating. I have a huge section on dating on the spectrum. And
we have a YouTube channel, Facebook group, LinkedIn. There's a trailer for the show, clips from the show. Oh, we can watch the full 1 hour show online.
I put it for free online. The full show is on.
Oh my God. You are so generous. I mean, I really feel like, that you're like a unicorn because you have.
I shaved it off along with the horn off along the rest of my hair. So yeah.
Oh my God. But it's just like you are able to, I feel like you're just able to really articulate all these different perspectives of what it's like to be the parent, of what it's like to be you, of what it's like to be a teenager, of what it's like to be in relationship. And it's like, you're so empathetic for such a person who said you have so many of these like open filters. It's like turned into this superpower and this gift to help people understand each other.
Thank you. And I want to ask just something what you said. The reason why I'm able to articulate all the things is that I had really good coaching, not parenting. I had really good coaching. And I've had coaches since I was a teenager. And I lucked out. My very first coach, Eliza Bergeson, who's still coaching to this day. She knew how to work with people like me, and she helped me understand how to get into my body. She used something called Brain Gym, and she helped me understand that my thoughts, I am not just whatever flies through. My thoughts are not me necessarily. I had agency over my thoughts, and I have agency over my body. And I was able to understand the difference between a stressed out me and a non-stressed out me. And that was just the beginnings. And I've had coaches for decades, and I still have coaches to this day. I have 3 main coaches right now. And I also took, I've also been singing since I was a child, but I also took singing lessons because a lot of people on the spectrum have like rah, 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 like kind of low prosody. They sound like a robot. And so things can be trained and things are possible to be cultivated and learned. And I want to represent to people that just because it's like I have Asperger's, not I am Asperger's.
Yes.
Going right back to the beginning, that it is a thing that I have, and that it's also that I can learn how to navigate with coaching, with support, and with study. And my hope is that I can provide I can provide the language, the translation, the advocacy through the comedy to bring people together. Now, just to be clear, my comedy show has no politics, no cursing, no cheap body fluid jokes, and I don't dunk on normies or self-immolate as someone on the spectrum. It's written in such a way where it brings people together in laughter to understand what is going on. And there are some rough topics, but I make them I do make them still funny, but I don't shy away from difficulty here. And my hope is that I can provide not just context and content, but also help provide the resources for the children like me today, what I never had, and also help the parents in a way my parents were never helped. And I know one is truly healed from a thing when one is so resilient and resourced that one can help prevent, mitigate, stop, or reverse the very same trauma that happened to them, but at scale.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I'm obsessed with you.
We can talk about dating on another time. Like,
I know we're going to definitely have you back to talk about dating, because I want to talk about dating. Because, but I might really invite you to watch a couple more episodes, even though you felt like it was animally in the zooey. Is that how you said it?
Zoo animally.
Zoo animally. I'm like animally in the zooey. Wasn't efficient with my words.
Wow.
I might want. I mean, because once you get past that, honestly. What I love about it is this is a trailer for the next episode because I'm going to have you back. I think that what I've experienced from some of those is just really like what really matters in connection, because I feel like normies get so caught up in like, what someone, how much money they make, if they have a 6-pack and all these other things that mean nothing. And I really enjoy watching these people really connect with each other and actually.
Yeah. The number, I'll leave you, I'll dangle this one thing.
Okay.
If you want to connect to someone on the spectrum, the thing you lead with is care. The end. That's what you lead with. It's not the only thing. It's what you lead with. And it's the foundation. It's what you come back to. Care. That's it.
I love that. All right. Come back for more with Dr. Sam. Ladies and gentlemen who are listening, thank you for being here. There are so many juicy nuggets in this episode. And whether you know someone, you are with someone, or you are someone who resonates to what Dr. Sam was saying, make sure you share this with people so that we can all understand each other and bring more connection and harmony and love, and really allow people to live in what I'm all about, is live into your soul's expression here on this earth. And it sucks that you had that parenting that you did. And also, like, what a blessing that you've turned it into this mission, that you're making such a freaking huge impact. So links to everything in the show notes. Watch the show. They are show notes. So watch the show. You can find out more about Dr. Sam. You can get in touch with him if you know someone who would need his coaching, support, and help. But remember, whatever you do, and always, life check yourself. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now. Hey, thanks for tuning in today. Listen, if you're feeling stuck, I want you to know you're not alone, and you don't have to settle for it. I've created a free quiz to help you pinpoint what's draining your energy and exactly how you can fix it. So head over to decodeyourdestinyquiz.com and take the 60-second quiz right now. That's decodeyourdestinyquiz.com.
And if you're ready to dive deeper, you can book a free no obligation consultation at marnibatista.com/private coaching. That's Marni, Marni, Batista, Battis, as in Sam, TA.com/private coaching, all one word. Let's take the first step to creating a life you love on your terms. I'm Marni, and I'll see you next time.